So for today's video, we're going to be working on the Mark III, mainly the 7M GTE. If you aren't familiar with the 7M GTE and their head gasket issues, this is a good video for you because I got a lot of good information in here, and we'll be going through and replacing our head bolts with ARP studs in this video. No, I will not be replacing the head gasket because I don't see a need to. But before we get into that, I understand some of you, many of you, have been curious about what's going on with the 300ZX. It still runs. I have ran into a couple little issues. For instance, I actually took it to a car meet and I got there when there was daylight, and when I went to leave at night, the headlights weren't working. Kind of dumb, I know. I built the whole motor and then the headlights don't work. Ended up just being that both of my headlights failed at the same time. Also, the car has had exhaust leaks, which have been the absolute bane of my existence. I literally went to make a video about the Z. I got started fixing the exhaust leaks, and it ended up taking me all day just working on the exhaust leaks alone, and I still have some there. Real quick, before we dive into the video, I got one more thing for you, because if you haven't already, please be sure to check out the website. I got t-shirts on there, I got license plate frames, I even have cell phone cases, which unfortunately I don't have with me, but I have hooded jackets, I have t-shirts, we have women's fashion tees, I even got leggings. I've got other t-shirts on there as well besides the ones that are here right now in front of me, so be sure to head over to billybuilds.com, check out the website. There's also a coupon code down below, 20% off, BillyBuilt20 at checkout. But for today, let's get into this, let's start working on the car. Gonna go on a quick cruise real quick with the Supra. Then we're gonna take the Z and let the car stretch their legs a little bit. Blower works. Sometimes it's easier just to push the car. Let's get started on these valve cover gaskets, shall we? First order of business. It is now dark outside because I ran out of time with daylight because I spent all day trying to get the exhaust leaks fixed on this thing. For today, I'm going to be doing the valve cover gaskets on the Supra. You may know the valve cover gaskets are leaking profusely to the point where I can't really drive the car more than about 5 to 10 minutes. This is pretty much what we're dealing with. There are vacuum lines. The car is mostly stock. Hasn't really been simplified much, if at all. I see one vacuum line that is capped. That's it. Which is good for me because I'm working on a basically untouched car here, which makes things less of a headache to deal with rather than other people that could possibly be hacks. Let's go ahead and get started on this. And first order of business, because this light is going to draw a shit ton of mosquitoes, I'm going to close the garage door before I get carried away. One got in. Looks good. We got space. Yeah, look at that. I like it. I don't know who works on this, but they over tighten the shit out of some of this stuff. coil packs. Ooh, look at all that oil. Oh my God. Oh yeah. You guys aren't gonna believe this. It's bad. Like it's worse than I thought. There, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. That is standing oil. Like that's the top of my spark plug. Just the top of it. That's all you can see. I may end up ordering some new spark plugs as well, because they have been swimming in a pool of oil this entire time. Alright you guys, so I successfully got all the bolts off, but I'd almost be willing to bet that this isn't coming off without removing a couple other things here. Oh, there is a blue Gates belt on it, so that's a good sign. I should start removing these belts anyways, because I got new belts for it. Its wheels will know why. Oh, look at that. That one slid on nice. Keep the grass cut low, cause them snakes still sleazy. Always knew I had to glow. I just had to find a reason. Walking around looking like I own the place. Always no food, man. I always finish off the plate and come to play. Trenches, baby. Can't believe we made it safe. Something out of nothing yet. And my light's dead. Okay, so the accessory belts are all changed out on here. I'm not gonna change out the timing belt. I don't really see a need to. It doesn't look that old, and it's a Gates blue belt. Now, I gotta check to see if the head bolts are in. That way, if I need to order the studs, I can order them. So let's go ahead and at least pop one of these valve covers off. I'd be willing to bet that a couple of these are probably not tight. Another one wasn't even tight. These are not even tight. It's no wonder the freaking valve covers were leaking. Oh my goodness, that's not tight at all. This valve cover's barely on here. Somebody went to lunch when they were halfway through this job. And the verdict is, we got ARPs, boys. Just to give you guys a little bit of insight, if you don't know how the ARP stuff works, typically the bottom level ARP fastener is a chromoly fastener. I believe it can come in either a bolt or a stud. It'll usually say on the top of the fastener, you know, ARP, ARP, ARP 2000, ARP L19, depending on whichever fastener is used. This one here, which I'll show you right here, if you look, that one I wiped off. It says ARP, ARP, but I'm almost positive that that is just a bolt. I don't want to take any chances with this. I really want to do this right. So I'm going to do a little bit of research. I'm going to sleep on it, and I'll get back to you guys here in just a minute for you. These running pretty good, huh? Just took it around the block, hit a little bit of boost. Hope you guys like that little flip. When you're doing repairs like this, obviously it's gonna leave a little bit of a mess because, well, a mess was already made. Gonna do my best to clean it up, and this is how I clean it up. Start with the greaser, and then I usually go ahead and spray it down with some brake clean and do my best to sop it up with a little bit of paper towel. It's nearly impossible to get all of it. And if it's really tough and it's really caked on there, get yourself a wire brush. Okay guys, we are right into a little bit of a pickle here because there's a lot of oil in there, and that's more oil than I would care to allow drop into the cylinder. Desperate times come for desperate measures, and that's where we're at. So I got a hose and we got a super sucker. That looks about right. Yeah. That's probably pretty good. Let's see how well it works. Oh yeah.
Suck.
One way to tell that it's not a Florida car is you got bullshit like this in it on a 35 freaking year old car. We're gonna welcome this Supra to Florida the proper way. Where did it go? I don't know. It doesn't care. Not that I need to see the turbo, it's just nice having a little bit extra space in the engine bay and less clutter. Okay, it is now Tuesday and ARP studs are here, so that means we're gonna pull the ARP bolts out of the motor and put those in. Now, to be honest, I still don't know whether it's a MLS or a factory head gasket. Either way, I'm gonna tighten it down to the ARP stud torque recommendations, which is 90 foot-pounds. The thing is with these motors is many people say that the factory composite gasket is the one that fails. Well, it fails primarily because of the torque specs that are underrated from Toyota from the factory originally. People still, many, still hate on the composite gasket and switch to an MLS gasket. When you switch to an MLS gasket, you really need to smooth the surfaces out. However, what's ironic about this is the 300ZX that I have here, that many of you are familiar with, is the complete opposite of that. In fact, the factory head gaskets are composite from the factory, and when you switch to a multi-layer steel gasket, such as the Tomei ones that I used to have, many people are blowing those out well before the composite gaskets will. We're gonna go ahead and do that tonight and hopefully get these valve covers back on. Well, you know what? I do have to clean the valve covers. So let me clean the valve covers first. You know what? I'm gonna change my mind with this. Instead of just cleaning it, because quite honestly, it's not coming as clean as I wanted it to. I forgot I had this actually, but I have some gray engine paint. I'm gonna get the wire brush, brush these down, and give them a quick spray. Okay guys, so there's a lot of opinions out there on different ways of retorquing the 7M head studs, head bolts, whichever you may have. I have in this one the ARP head bolts. I am upgrading to the ARP head studs. Reason being is you can torque these more. And my personal opinion is studs have better clamping force than a bolt does. It's just physics.
One particle of unobtainium has a nuclear reaction with a flux capacitor. Carry the two, changing its atomic isotoner into a radioactive spider. Fuck you, science!
For instance, I torqued the head studs in the VG30 down to 125 foot-pounds. Now, those are different head studs. They're different lengths. They are different part number per se. But in the ARP catalog, they are listed as the same yield strength at 200,000 PSI and 200,000 PSI. However, I will not be running 30 plus pounds of boost through this motor. Now the speculation is that some will say, oh, don't loosen the head bolts or head studs before you retorque them. You just retorque them from where they are. So here's my idea, and based on my own research, the problem with not breaking them free before you retorque them is, if they're in there for a while, you definitely want to crack them free for any period of time. If it's simply an overnight thing and you're going back out to retorque the head studs the next morning, more power to you. They're still fresh, the engine hasn't been through any heat cycles, nothing's really settled in. On this particular setup, everything's seated in place mechanically, it's been through some heat cycles, everything's happy where it is. In that instance, you should crack the bolts loose or studs loose before retorquing them, simply because it will affect the overall torque value of the head studs if you were to just start cramping down on them, because it'll take more initial torque to get that head stud moving or head bolt moving than it will if you crack it loose first. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get to installing these head studs in the same sequence that you would the factory head bolts. Just a really quick pro tip. The second from the front set of head studs, there is a little trick to it. If you look, there is a little knob on these cams. If you rotate it straight up and down, it actually gets in the way of that head stud. Bolts are not a problem because they're a 13 millimeter 12 point. 14 millimeter 12 point chrome socket is too big with this pointing basically straight up and down. So what I had to do, if you look really tight, really close, it's actually angled ever so slightly at the bottom. That way you can fit the 14 millimeter in there with the 3/8 inch extension straight up and down. Whew. Okay guys, that is it for the head studs. So tomorrow, the valve covers should be dried by then. I'm in crunch time right now. I'm running out of time here. But yeah, I'm gonna get some sleep and we'll be back at this tomorrow. So the red obviously turned out as more of a pink, so it didn't really work out too well. But I just found a better solution because I just so happen to have some black engine enamel paint laying around. And I don't have a small paintbrush, but I do have these little Q-tips. I'm taking my spray paint, spraying it into the cap, and then dipping my Q-tip in there, and then just running it across the top of these valve covers. Unfortunately, the spark plugs have not arrived yet, so I will just have to do those at a later date. I am not going to wait for them to get here because it could be another week or so, and fortunately this video will be posted by then. Everything's put together, garage is closed up. I'm gonna come back here tomorrow, we're gonna fire it up, and hopefully there's no more oil leaking. Valve covers are done. I had it warmed up a little bit, cleaned it all off the rest of the way. It looks like it stopped smoking a little bit, so we're gonna take it for a quick test drive and see how it drives now that I can drive it for a little bit longer. My time is off now. Yeah, we got flip-up lights. All right, you guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you learned a little bit and got what you needed out of this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the subscribe button, click the like button. I appreciate every single one of you. Be sure to head over to the website, get yourself some Z32 merch. Obviously, now that I got a Supra, we will be working on Supra merch. So Mark III Supra merch is coming to billybuilds.com, and of course CRX and possibly some BRZ stuff. I got all 4 cars, so why not do something with all 4, right? Regardless, check it out. Take care. We'll catch y'all next time.